Well, at the time that I record this video, the race was just called in Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. And even though the election itself has not been called at the time that I record this, Kamala Harris has no path to victory. And as it stands right now, unless something drastically changes, Donald Trump is going to become the next president of the United States. So, I'm not going to give you my analysis. I'm not going to talk about what got us to this point, why this happened. I'm not going to be a political commentator. I'm just going to react as a human being, just like all of you, because I don't have all the answers, and we're going to have to parse out the data and figure out what exactly went wrong, why she specifically lost, how did Trump get much more support than we anticipated. You know, there's a lot of polls that were wrong. The Seltzer poll was wrong. Lichtman with the 13 keys, definitely wrong. I'm not going to talk about any of that right now. I'm just going to react as a human being. And I've got to say, I am stunned and gutted, but not necessarily surprised. I was feeling okay going into Election Day. I think that I was huffing the hopium that a lot of other people was huffing, but I still, in my gut, felt like Trump was going to win. I had a sick feeling about this, but I thought, no, it's got to be Kamala because it's Donald Trump. He's a rapist. He's a felon. And America, they don't like felons, right? It's just, I can't fathom my country doing this. But they did. They rolled the dice. And now Donald Trump will take office and the guardrails are off. He will have immunity. We're going to see RFK Jr. and Elon Musk in government. It is a very bleak situation. And I know all of you watching, you may be trans, you may be in a marginalized community, you may be a woman or a woman of color, or just somebody who's vulnerable to a Trump presidency. And I don't have the words that's going to make you feel better. And I can't tell you that everything is going to be fine, but let me just say, it's going to be okay. Just for right now, there's time before he assumes office. We have a couple of months. Just for right now, stop, try to take a deep breath, and realize in this moment, you are okay, and you're going to be okay. Maybe the country looks radically different in 4 years. Maybe the country doesn't survive Donald Trump, and democracy doesn't survive Donald Trump. But as an individual, you're going to be okay. What you should do in the meanwhile, start organizing, start getting to know people who are in a similar situation as yourself. Start getting to know your neighbors. Organize with local leftists and political activists. Just take the time to build up rapport with people in your community. That is, I think, the most constructive thing that you can do in the interim between now and when he assumes office. Just try to organize in the sense that you get in contact with people. I think that if somebody is vulnerable in one state, then having a resource, having somebody you can depend on another state, having a buddy, I think that's going to be really important. On top of that, I would recommend that you update your passport. I don't necessarily think it's going to come to a point where you need to flee the country, but we don't know how bad things are going to get. And I think that being ready, especially if you're in a vulnerable community, is going to be really important. And it pains me to say that, and I don't want to scare you, but just in case, update your passport. Just have that ready. It's better to be safe than sorry. Again, don't want to fearmonger or scare you, but just have that ready. Put aside a little bit of money if you can to save up in case you need to flee your state. So right now, as it stands, Republicans have also taken back the Senate, but Democrats have a chance to hold on to the House. That would be really important. So just try to do your best to prepare. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Don't be a doomer. Don't become a doomsday prepper, but just make sure that you are ready for shit to get a little bit crazy, and expect it to get crazy. You know, expect to see protests. Expect Donald Trump to act like a buffoon. But throughout all of this, understand that as you watch your television and you see him as president again and you're feeling horrified, understand that that feeling that you're feeling, you're not the only one. All of us are feeling it. So it might not change the situation, but kind of understand that you're not suffering alone. There are millions of people in this country who haven't lost their minds, who didn't vote for 99% Hitler and don't want fascism. And together, I think that it's important that we acknowledge as a group, we're all experiencing this the same way, and just knowing that other people are feeling the fear that you're feeling, I think that can kind of help us to deal with it a little bit. So just kind of keep that in mind. And it's not just that there are people who feel what you're feeling right now, the disappointment, the horror, the shock, the disillusionment with the country itself, and just not really feeling like you belong in this country. You thought you knew the country, but it just feels like you're not welcome. If you're feeling that, understand you are not alone. And there are people like me who will continue to speak out and use this platform to criticize Donald Trump and hold him accountable and let you know what he does with the power that he just won. I will do that until I can no longer do it, until he takes away my right to exercise my free speech. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it could. But I will be here to criticize him and hold him accountable for as long as I possibly can. I think that I would probably be classified as the enemy within, since I'm a very public person. And that's not going to deter me from speaking my mind. I'm not going to cower in fear to fascism because that's what they want. I'm going to speak my mind, and I am going to hold this administration accountable to the extent that I can with this platform until I physically cannot do that anymore. I'm not going to back down, and you shouldn't either. If you're watching this video, there are people in the comments who are feeling the way that you do. Talk to each other. If you have a Twitter account or a Threads account, talk to each other. Reach out to each other. Don't be afraid to actually say to somebody that I'm not okay right now and I'm genuinely worried. Here's my situation. I think that it's okay to grieve a little bit and to wallow a little bit, but understand that there's going to be a point where you will pick yourself up and you're just going to keep surviving because you've already been surviving. So, I don't know what else to say. My reaction is still shock. In 2016, when it happened, I was genuinely just like, I don't even have the words to describe my reaction as I watched it. I wasn't live streaming it, so I saw the results come in, and I'm just like, my country did this? They voted for Donald Trump, this clown? And so this time, I feel like I'm a lot more not ready for this, because you're never ready for fascism to come to your country, obviously. Not to laugh, to downplay, but like I laugh in awkward situations when I don't know really what to say. But I mean, like, I just feel like I'm numb. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to collect my thoughts, but I just feel numb right now because my faith in the American people over time has diminished a little bit here, a little bit there. And I've just come to realize that everybody they're in this for themselves, and they don't necessarily care about their neighbors. They don't care about marginalized people. My own family doesn't give a fuck that other family members that we have who are LGBTQ+ might be damaged by a Trump administration. They are convinced that the economy was better under Donald Trump. So that's the way that they voted. They voted out of self-interest and out of ignorance. And I mean, if the 20% tariffs do come through, then they're going to realize really quickly that, yeah, Trump wasn't great for the economy, but I mean, they made their decision, and we have to live with that fact and learn how to live with that fact and try to find a way to coexist with people who think it's okay to vote for a party that wants the rest of us to just be Thanos snapped. But I mean, this is the situation that we have, and there's nothing we can do to change it. We did our part. We voted. Some of you canvassed, I'm sure. Some of you shared, on social media, get out and vote. You've done your part. So now the results have happened, and they are what they are. And now we just have to live with that and try to adapt. But there's time before Trump assumes office, so don't worry if you're taking, a couple of days to just sulk. That's okay. But you're going to get back up on your feet, and you're going to get back to it. We all are.